Hello, good day and welcome to this session on components of logistics systems. By the end of this session, you should be able to list the various components of logistics systems, as well as explain the components of logistics system, and finally describe how the different components of logistics systems are interrelated. To begin with, what at all are logistics systems? Logistics systems basically comprises a set of facilities which are linked by transportation services. So logistics, as we have earlier learned, enables or facilitates the movement of materials and information from one point to the other. And for organizations or supply chains to be able to realize the goal of logistics, there has to be nodes, that is points of contact, either a warehouse or a stores, where a material is being moved from a supplier's site or a supplier's warehouse to a manufacturer's warehouse, and then from a manufacturer's warehouse to a distributor's warehouse. So those facilities which are linked by the transportation services that ensure the physical transportation or the physical movement of goods from one point to the other is what we term as a logistics system. And we all know that in a system, everything interacts to enable the final outcome to occur. So if there is not one element, it means the system cannot function without the other entities. So the facilities are places where materials are processed. Example, places where materials are manufactured, places where they are stored or where they are sorted, sold or consumed. And those facilities include manufacturing and assembly centers, warehouses, distribution centers, transshipment points, transportation terminals, retail outlets, mail sorting centers, garbage incinerators, and dump sites. You realize that at each of the above mentioned centers, there is a movement of material in one form or the other. So from a warehouse or assembly center, you would get raw materials or sub-assemblies moving from one place. Example, at the supplier's side. In a distribution center, you could find finished goods that are being sorted and packaged to another distribution center or a final warehouse. So these facilities serve as the nodes or the link in which transportation systems move goods between points of contact. Components of logistics systems. There are several components of logistics systems, some of which include customer service, inventory management, transportation, storage and materials handling, packaging, information processing, among the others, which are subsequently discussed. When you take customer service, it is a multidimensional and very important part of every organization's logistics efforts. It is the output of the entire logistics effort. That is whether the goal of logistics is to move goods from one point to the other so that the end user or the customer is satisfied. So for the logistics system to be effective or to be said to have been effective, the end goal is sustained customer service, which has to be achieved. If this goal of logistics is not achieved, it means the logistics system has failed to achieve its goal. Then we move on to inventory management. Inventory management entails how stock is maintained or managed at the various points in a logistics system. And the trend has turned to a situation where organizations try as much as possible to reduce inventory at their various facilities. Therefore, the goal of logistics is to ensure that Goods are made available to each of the logistics facilities as and when they are needed, so that the general goal of customer service is not violated. Then you move on to transportation. Transportation basically describes the physical movement of goods from one point to another, and that is what facilitates the goal of logistics systems, because without transportation, cannot be moved between the logistics facilities, and in the end, customer service goals cannot be achieved. Storage and materials handling. Within each facility, whether it's a warehouse, a distribution center, or a manufacturing plant, goods have to be managed and handled properly using the proper material handling equipment, so that in the end they do not reach customers in their damaged forms. So you have to ensure that systems are put in place to move goods effectively while maintaining the shape and form as well as the quality of the goods. This will ensure that the final user is satisfied with the goods that they have asked for, and in the end they are satisfied, and the goal of customer service, which is the broad goal or aim of logistics systems, is achieved. Then you move on to packaging. Packaging is what protects or encloses a product. So if material handling is done properly, the packaging of the product always remains intact. Packaging houses a product as well as protects the product, and also gives information as to what is contained in a product. So you realize that if a product package is not intact, if a product packaging has been damaged, customer service cannot be achieved. The goal of customer service cannot be achieved. In the end, customers will be dissatisfied with what they have received from the logistics activity. Then you move on to information processing. It is what links all areas of the logistics system together, because in order for transportation to be implemented at a supplier's warehouse, there has to be information reaching them as to what manufacturers want before they can move goods or raw materials from their warehouse. Also, in order to know what the distribution or the distributors want to send to customers, they also have to the manufacturers have to get information as to the requirements of customers in order to make available those products to the distributors, so that it will reach customers at the right time and in the right shape. So there has to be proper information processing systems in place so as to facilitate this activity. And there is demand forecasting. In order for manufacturers to be able to know how much to produce to make available to customers, they have to estimate the likely requirements of customers. And this is what demand forecasting is about. In order to reduce waste in the supply chain, demand forecasting has to be accurate so that customer needs are met at the right time. If demand forecasting is not accurate and demand forecasting is done below what customers require, there will be shortage, which will lead to dissatisfied customers. If demand forecasting is also above what customers actually require, there would also be excess stock, which will lead to waste in the supply chain. Hence, demand forecasting activities have to be accurately done so that customer needs are met on time with the right product to satisfy their requirements. Then you move to production planning. If demand forecasting is done accurately, the production planning is also done effectively, because in the end, you are able to know what you are supposed to do or what you are supposed to manufacture to meet customer needs. And if you know what you are supposed to manufacture to meet customer needs, it would let you request for the right raw materials from suppliers, so that in the end you are scheduling production to meet what customers want at the right time and in the right quantities. Then you move on to purchasing. Purchasing refers to acquiring goods and services to meet the organization's needs as and when they arise. And logistics systems plays an important role in purchasing because logistics systems make available what has been purchased at the right time in the right quantity so that they can be used for the right purposes. And then facility location also plays a key role in logistics system because in the end you want to satisfy customers. Hence, if facilities are located remotely and not close to each other, it increases transport mileage, which also increases time that it takes to move products from one place to another. And in a world where sustainability concerns have come up, long transport mileage means more emissions in the environment. Hence, facilities have to be located close to each other so as to reduce transport mileage and ensure availability of goods and services to customers as and when they require. In this session, you have learned about what logistics systems are, and you have also learned about the components of logistics systems.